Can I create a video if I'm terrible on camera? Kate here. This is a question I get from a lot of would-be course creators. They want to create a course, but they want to not do it on camera. I had a particular client who was very, very specific. She had this course, this idea that was fantastic. I mean, really, really good stuff. Deep thinker. She had all the content clearly spelled out. But one little problem. She didn't want to be on camera. She came up with one excuse after the other, even to the point where she's like, can I just have the slides and pay somebody to narrate it so you wouldn't see her face and you wouldn't hear her voice? And yet the topic that she had was addressing fear and anxiety because of a personal example she went through. Let me tell you, I'm a huge believer in getting in front of the camera. And that is because your content is not what differentiates your course. It is you. There's lots of courses on coffee making and guitar playing and anxiety, but there's only one you out of 7 billion people on the planet, and you are what differentiates it. So if you can get on camera and create a feeling of connection, that is super important. So I want to talk about 4 different reasons that I've run into why people don't want to get in camera and what they can do to help overcome it. Now, I can't go too far into depth on this or this video would be way longer than what I want to do it in, but perhaps later I can go into each one of these in more depth because they really do deserve the time. And so let me just start that by saying I'm going to abbreviate it now, but there's a lot of depth in each one of them. So the first one is the thought that I'm too ugly to be on camera. So let's just throw it out there. People feel insecure about the way they look. And it is really kind of a sad thing because we really only see ourselves in the mirror when we're examining if we feel good or if we look good. We don't appreciate, like not the way that we appreciate the looks of other people or a painting or a sunset or a sunrise. I've never met anybody who's truly and inherently ugly. People are beautiful. Unfortunately, we don't see ourselves when we're laughing at a joke or looking at somebody that we love, or when we, are laughing or smiling or crying or any of these beautiful things that we do as human beings. We generally see other people doing those things, but we cannot see ourselves doing them. And so we tend to dismiss ourselves. We tend to not view ourselves in the same compassionate way that we view others. So I want you to think for a minute that who you are as a person desires your approval just as much as you desire the approval of others. So give yourself the compassion and the approval that you need in order to move forward if you feel like you might not be nice looking enough to be on video. The second one is that you might feel like you're a terrible speaker. Perhaps you feel like you have a lisp or your English isn't so good or whatever it is that you have to make you feel that you're not a terrible speaker. Let me just say, talking on camera is very, very similar to talking to somebody that you really love or really know. And if you can talk to people, you can talk to a camera. Just start thinking about the person on the other end of the camera instead of just seeing this piece of metal looking back at you. So that's a really hard thing to overcome, and yet it can be overcome. Okay, the third one is you might have stage fright. So maybe you're okay talking until the camera's turned on. I have experienced all 4 of these things that I'm going to talk about today, but this one was a doozy for me. It was really, really hard, and I can only tell you that practice really helps, okay? You cannot get better at this without practice, just like almost any other skill out there. You won't get better without practice. I had stage fright so incredibly bad. I can't go into it because the stories would take up far too long, but trust me, this was a hard one for me. I ended up taking a job when I was around 31 years old. I ended up taking a job where for the next 5 years, I created 2 videos a month. So I got lots of practice. I just kept doing it. I kept getting better. I would call myself one take Kate. I could do it in one take. I told myself I could do it. And I actually got to the point where I could do it in one take. So that's for stage fright. Just a really quick thing. I don't want to go too far into it, but probably the biggest difference for me with stage fright was to imagine that the content that I was talking about was going to make a huge difference for my audience. So instead of thinking about instead of pointing my concerns inward, like, do I look okay? Do I sound okay? I look like an idiot. Instead of like looking internally, I started thinking externally. I started thinking about who is on the other side of the camera. How can I serve their needs? they really, really need this content. This is going to make a huge difference for those persons. So that really helped twist my concerns outward rather than inward. The fourth one is imposter syndrome. This lack of confidence that we may not be the person to talk about that content. So it kind of makes us feel like when we're talking that we can't be confident on camera. But I can tell you, when you're working through the method that I have, the steps that I have, it builds confidence like nobody's business. It takes somebody who doesn't feel confident into knowing that what they're presenting is precisely what another person needs, because you're literally you're taking their words and their concerns and you're weaving it into your content. It makes all the difference in the world. And let me get back. Okay, so that client that I told you about that didn't want to get on camera, she is now on camera. She's completely confident about her course. I am so incredibly proud of her. Her English isn't the total best, but she's getting out on camera and she's easily understood. Every single one of her fears about getting on camera is gone. And you can experience that too. You want to create a course? Then get out there and create a course. I will help you. Contact me and let's make it happen.